What's up, YouTube? It's been a bit since my last video, but I wanted to update you as upcoming we're going to be getting a new 2021 refresh Model 3 long range all-wheel drive. And this is a bit of a difference than the original car that we have been doing videos on, which is my leased Standard Range Plus. So this is the new vehicle. This is the Standard Range Plus, and we decided to upgrade to a long range mainly because of the lease limitations with miles. As you know, you have 10, 12, or 15,000 miles a year max on a lease, and you cannot buy the vehicle. And right now, doing some math on the miles we're putting on the car, the lease goes till the end November 2022, but we're going to run out of miles in late Q1 2022, which means we'll be paying payments on the vehicle if we can't transfer this or give it back early for 7 to 8 months, which isn't great. And that is just a bunch of wasted money that we'd rather put into a new vehicle. And knowing that there's a 2 to 3 month wait. So if you notice the delivery time is 7 to 11 weeks, this is actually better than a few weeks ago. It said it was between 9 and 13 weeks for the Model 3. So production is ramping, and Tesla did confirm this when they called me after placing the order. But generally, we placed the order mid-July, so about a week ago, and we do have an estimated delivery time of early to late July. So this is the order details. We've got midnight silver metallic paint, which I think looks great with the new black accents, 35,000 base price, and you see all the options here, which is really just the paint. I didn't upgrade anything. I actually think the new Aero wheels look better than the old ones. There's those new Orbital $250 caps that you could buy. Just look that up, Orbital Model 3, which looks pretty great. But we're going to keep, we want the range and efficiency, but generally total cost of $55,000. This will come out to a monthly payment of around $700 a month, which is much higher than our $480 payment for the lease. However, we will own the vehicle, and after 3 years, if we do sell the car, we will be likely getting back more money, where the total cost over a 3-year period, should we sell the vehicle, will be much less than leasing. But then, of course, that the big debate there is yes, financing typically for a Tesla is much more financially over the cost of ownership. It makes more financial sense, but there's other pros and cons. And sometimes if you just don't want to deal with reselling the vehicle, finding a buyer, maybe there's some other issues with your situation where leasing makes sense, that leasing still makes sense for some, but not the majority of people. So we are financing. This is one that we can invest more in, like paint protection film, ceramic coating, just to protect the paint, since this will be an owned vehicle. Those are things we just don't worry about with a lease, because we know we're going to be giving it back, and so we can just pay for unlimited $10 a month car washes without worry, because it looks great. That will be something that white, if you get a white car, scratches don't really show, because the base underneath, sometimes it's white, sometimes it just, in certain lighting, it just doesn't really show up. But I think with this silver, it's gonna show up. So the other reasons why we decided to upgrade to the long range is just that when we do road trips, and this is something for everyone to just generally understand, is that 353, which is a great increase over the previous Model 3, is about 30-mile increase. That is not achievable usually on road trips. When you get a gas car, traditional ICE car, when they have the rated miles per gallon, you can usually beat that. So let's say it gets 31 highway, 25 city. Most can get at least 31, 32, 33 miles per gallon on a road trip, going 70 on the freeway. It's very common. With these cars, highway speeds actually decrease the range. So what you're looking at, the EPA, is kind of more of a blended range between city and freeway. And with freeway, there's more wind resistance. There's more friction on electric vehicles, which is so important for whether the drag on the vehicle totally hurts the range, where you actually get better range around the city versus a gas car gets less range around the city, because there's just less wind resistance and less drag on the vehicle. So you'll typically get a lot less than 350 on a road trip. You'll probably get 20-30% less than the rated range in just daily driving, because of you can't even charge it, and you shouldn't charge it to max, and B, the general battery degradation over the course of the first 6 to 12 months is around 10%. And that's data from the Teslafy app, which looks at the entire average fleet battery capacity and the max range. So it's just something to be aware of. And even if it could go further, you are actually limited by the supercharger stops that have been laid out. So because you're getting less range on road trips, there are supercharger stops roughly 100 to 160 miles apart, because they know that when you get a standard range plus like we have, which the max range at our 250, right now it says 263 or 262, well, yeah, whatever it is. Ours was 250. Our max since the 6 month mark has been around 225 to 230, and now sometimes it's 223 to 225. And then on a road trip to San Diego, we can only really go 150 miles at a clip, 160 miles because of efficiency loss on the freeway, incline, just road conditions in general. So you have to stop 2 to 3 times going on a standard range plus from Arizona to LA or Arizona to San Diego. Hopefully, and we will test this, long range will be able to take us from Scottsdale or Phoenix to Yuma, and then from Yuma to San Diego on one charge. And that's going to be quite a nice difference. It'll allow you to still get a break, take care of family or dogs, or just general fatigue from road trips, and just make the trip, 45 minutes less each way. So that's just something in general to understand, is the EPA rated range is something that in general, and it sucks that we even have to do this, and hopefully the new battery cells will prevent that, is for your own expectation is do not plan trips for 350 miles. If it says 350, you'll probably get closer to 300 or 250, because you get 10% off the top because the battery will degrade within 6 to 12 months of ownership. Like you'll lose about 1% a month until it levels out about 10% lower. Two, you should only be charging 80 to 90% to protect the longevity of a car. And that's another advantage of a lease, is you can charge it higher capacity without worrying, because you're going to give the car back, so you get more usage without having to kind of baby the battery over that period of time. And then three, you're not supposed to discharge it down to 0%, because that's also bad for the car. So if you have to keep it ideally between 20 and 80%, or what some will even say less stressful is between 30 and 70%, you have very limited capacity that you can really use in your day-to-day and road trips. But going from 100 to 0 is not usually what you're going to be doing anyways, and that's honestly too stressful. Even in the 2 to 3 stops we do to San Diego, sometimes it says you have enough to continue your trip, but then you end up having to slow down because of variety of reasons of how you drive, with wind condition or weather conditions, and you don't want to be arriving with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6% battery. That has way too much stress and anxiety. And even if we will have to stop potentially 1 to 2 times instead of 2 to 3, those stops will be with higher battery capacity and will arrive with 15, 20% capacity rather than under 10%. And then especially if you're in cold climates, that will hit the range despite efficiencies with the new heat pump in this vehicle compared to the old system. That's something that you just don't really want to have to worry about. So that's where, in general, and this is just my own opinions, when Elon announced that they're getting rid of the Plaid Plus, this is less about affordability, but more about the general thought of people don't need more than 400 miles of range. We don't have any mass market vehicle with data to look at the behavior of people that have a 400 plus mile range EV and then acting like, hey, I don't need to really get more than 400 miles range. Or in reality, how many people have a 500 mile range EV where they're acting like people who only have a 400 mile range? That makes sense, where if you're seeing data there, then you can cancel 500 plus mile range EVs. But in general, the thought process saying people don't need more than 400 miles, I think is hopefully just a bad excuse in the moment. But there's so many advantages where if you had 500 mile range, you take 10% off the top, you charge it only to 80 to 90%, you get more real world usable range closer to 400. That makes a lot of sense. It's totally on par with most gas cars. You can actually drive very far and in different harsh climates where you'll lose the range, and your charging will be quite significant. They claim 15 minutes to get 187 miles on the new Model S. Imagine if we had 500 mile range, you'd be able to get 200 plus miles, and you don't even have to charge the car to 80, 90%, where the charging speed just drops significantly. You could potentially charge just to 60%, which you could spend such fewer amount of time at charging stations. The whole fleet will charge less. And then if Tesla's really planning on opening up their superchargers to other manufacturers, they're just going to get more crowded, more busy. There's long lines in California. and other saturated markets where it's just a really bad charging experience when you're going on road trips and you're pushing it as it is. So all those are advantages that I think that we'll get once we get to mass production with the new battery tech. It'll really impact these cars, but we really need that data first to build it in to enough of a big data set to say, hey, we gave people 500 plus miles and they're just really not needing 400, which I would love to see data that proves that. But I think to make a blanket statement saying people don't need it is tough when the real world usage of these cars, even 350, like I'm expecting only to get under 300 out of this on normal usage and on road trips over time, because you're not supposed to charge it beyond 80%, and then the max is getting that 10% cut. But anyways, we're looking forward to the car. We're going to be doing range tests. We're going to be doing sound test quality between music and just hearing the new sound system, which is different, and also the double pane glass that has come, the acoustic glass that comes with the new car. So it'll be nice to do the comparisons between the standard range plus and the long range. So stay tuned for those videos. We're expecting this, in July, and hopefully they do actually deliver the vehicle, which is right now July 6th to the 26th. This date has shifted. It was the 5th to the 25th. Now it's 6th to the 26th. But considering a mid-June order, pretty good dates considering it was 2 to 3 months still for some of the cars. I'll take it. But that's it from me. I'll talk to you on the next one. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. Take care.